Welcome to a Bestow TV production. If you enjoy our content, please click the subscribe button. To get notifications of new releases, ring that bell. Thank you, and away we go.
Here at C2E2, we're going to be bringing you live coverage from artists, writers, and cosplayers. Hopefully some stars along the way. We hope you stay tuned to the rest of our coverage here at C2E2 2013. We're talking with current artist on Batman Incorporated, Chris Burnham. What was the decision behind killing Damian off?
A tragedy has a sad end. That's all there is to it. I've known the ending of the story before I started drawing the book, really. So I've known for 2.5 years how it was going to end. So we were, really trying to make you fall in love with the guy before we, rip the rug out from under everyone.
Did Grant initially, I know he was talking in many interviews and stuff about extending the life of Damian beyond what he had originally thought for the ending of the story. Did you initially find that bad for the story, or did you think it was necessarily good for, to fall in love more with the character?
Oh, I think it's a great idea. I mean, when he was first introduced in that first, Man-Bats and, Talia arc, everyone hated the kid. So if he died at the end, I don't think anyone would have cared, and everyone would have instantly forgotten about the story. Like it would have been a, almost a disposable story in a way. But he kept bringing him back, a little, teasing him. And by the time Batman and Robin came around, 2-3 years later or whatever, everyone was psyched for him. So I think it worked out great.
Working with people in the different Bat offices, do you ever exchange ideas with them, such as Batman, Robin, artist Pat Gleason, or writer Pete Tomasi?
Pat Gleason and I are good buddies, so we'll send Facebook messages back and forth, like, hey, is there any foreshadowing in your book that I can, do in my book? And nothing's ever really worked out, but we're big fans of each other's stuff. Most of the continuity and cooperation stuff is all Mike March, the editor of the main Bat books. But for the most part, we just, I read Batman and Robin and I like it, but that's about all there is to it. I see Pete Tomasi at conventions, but I don't think I've ever emailed the guy.
Where do you see Batman Inc. with the changes in continuity, obviously, with the New 52? Where do you see this now in the firm Batman timeline?
Man, that whole timeline thing is a disaster. I think anchoring it down to 5 years, putting the timeline, it's happened all over the course of 5 years. That then you start, doing the math. You're like, wait, Tim Drake was only Robin for 2 weeks. It's just a bad idea. Batman became Batman in the past, as far as I'm concerned. Why worry about it? It's fake. You gotta be an idiot to worry about that.
So you don't see like what Scott Snyder's doing right now with the Batman 0 year. Is there any continuity connections wise to what comes later with Batman Inc.?
I have no idea. I mean, if he wants to, it'll be a nice Easter egg for the fans. But I think he's doing his own thing.
Okay. Now that Damian's been killed off, the book's been going into a darker territory, especially with the last issue where you have the fold-out page in Batman. You tease the reader into thinking he becomes a Man-Bat, even though he really just goes into a, spoiler alert, like a really robotic bat suit.
Right. He's also he's kind of feral, so his teeth are a little bit bigger, and he's kind of like bulkier and droolier and whatnot. But he didn't go into full-on Man-Bat mode.
Looking at Damian as a character, just in the longevity of your run, have you grown an affinity for him?
Oh yeah, he's my favorite guy to draw. Like those 4 or 5 pages each issue that I get to draw him are always my favorite ones. You get to put all sorts of funny facial expressions on him, and he can do a little more cartoony body positions than you can all the rest of the characters. So yeah, he was my favorite, most fun guy to draw in the book, and I'm gonna miss him.
What upcoming work do you have?
Nothing I can tell you guys about. It is going to be comics, and you're going to want to buy them. But beyond that, I can't tell you.
Thanks, Chris, for talking with us at C2E2. This is Tommy Zimmer.
It goes to 10 commandments of successfully working with artists. And if you're a writer and you want to create comics and you want to work with artists, these are probably like the 10 best rules or commandments or guidelines that I could give people that might be interested. Speaking of which, commandment number 2 then is, thou shalt make it worth the artist's while to work with you. I was touching on this a moment ago. It says everyone wants to work with good sequential artists, so what will you offer him or her to work with you? If you can't entice an artist whose work you like with some sort of benefit to his or her career, be it financial or otherwise, the artist will have no reason to work with you. It's not always about the money. It's oftentimes about the money, but it's not always about the money. You have to be able to offer an artist an incentive to work with you. And the fact that your story is really, really cool, it's gonna be awesome. Of course you think it's cool, you wrote it. I think my series is cool. You know why I think it's cool? Because it is! Because I wrote it, you know. You have to find a way to entice people to work with you. Make it worth their while, you know. I will say one thing for artists, and this is true as me as a writer as well, is it's not always about the money. You know, I'm gonna write regardless. Artists are gonna draw regardless. And can you give them something fun? Can you give them something worthwhile to draw? One of the reasons I was so successful working with about 24 different artists from all over the world, with Nightmare World, was the fact that the first question I would ask if I initiated contact was, what would you like to draw? I said, if I was to give you an 8-page script, what would you like to draw? Oh, you know, I've really been in the mood to draw dragons lately. Okay, well, if I gave you an 8-page story, you know, with dragons in it, and was able to give you a couple big, cool dragon shots and stuff like that, you know, would you be interested in looking at that? Yeah. I said, cool, all right, let me get some of you soon. Back in the old days, they hang up the phone, you know, and then you close your email. Of course, like, okay, man, now I can write a dragon story. It's not like they necessarily had a dragon story in me, but if I see this artist whose work I like, and if they want to draw dragons, guess what, man? You're writing a dragon story. So make it worth their while somehow. Another thing I did was back in 2002 when we started Nightmare World, we were one of the first fully realized comics online. I mean, nowadays you get Kindles and iPads and iPods, whatever they are. I can't keep them straight. And you can just go Comixology, poof, download a comic. I started doing that in 2002 because I couldn't afford to print comics in color. Back then, you know, and I talk about this in the Right or Wrong book, which if you're serious about creating comics, this is the best $15 you'll ever spend on yourself ever. Back then, color copies of Kinko's were $1 a piece, one-sided, sometimes more. I couldn't afford to print comics, and we couldn't print small runs. So as a result, we just put the work online, everyone could see it. It became a big deal. I was talking to a major editor at a major publisher a couple weeks ago when I was in Chicago, who at the time I knew had actually critiqued some scripts for me very early on, which was really cool. And I won't say his name because I don't want to put Scott Alley of Dark Horse Comics out there like that. But very, very nice man, very good guy. He was very good to me when I was just getting started. We were able to have lunch in Chicago. And he was talking about, yeah, man, he goes, you were one of the first ones to ever put comics online. You know, no one else was doing that before you. How'd you even do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I had another guy that was able to help upload this stuff. I didn't, dial him. I didn't even have internet in my own house. People were interested in being involved in that, and I made it worth their while. Nowadays, having work online, anybody can do it. You can go to like Comics Press, which is a extension of WordPress. That's not as much as an incentive, but it is a big one. If you can show that you can develop a following for their work, people like to see their work get noticed. It's a good first step. Do something, whether it be pay or give them what they want to see. You have to be willing to give them incentive.
I think people really like that, do you?
No, I got a bunch of boos at the DC panel. I guess it was yesterday. People were not happy with us.
Watch Creative Continuity, Codtunes, Con Rewind, Mr. Lobo Does, and more on this channel.
Creative Continuity. We bring the convention to you.